Hello friends, welcome and thank you for joining me today. Today we're in the middle of Passion Week. Let me ask you, have you ever visited and entered one of those big cathedrals? And then when in there, have you seen those beautiful pictures of Jesus, each describing a part of the story of Jesus' last 3 days on earth? Let me take you for a quick walk around one of these cathedrals. First, Jesus prays. We begin with the image of Jesus alone in the garden, praying. It's the place called Gethsemane. And there he said this to his disciples. "Sit here while I go over there to pray." He took Peter and Zebedee's 2 sons, James and John, and he became anguished and distressed. He told them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." He went on a little bit further and bowed with his face to the ground, praying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine." Then he returned to the disciples and found them asleep. He said to Peter, "Couldn't you watch with me even for 1 hour? Keep watch and pray so that you will not give in to temptation. For the spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Then the second image. Jesus is arrested. When Jesus returned to them the 3rd time, he said, "Go ahead and sleep. Have your rest." But no, the time has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Up, let's be going. Look, my betrayer is here. And immediately, even as Jesus said this, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a crowd of men armed with swords and clubs. They had been sent by the leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders. The traitor, Judas, had given them a prearranged signal. "You will know which one to arrest when I greet him with a kiss. Then you can take him away under guard." As soon as they arrived, Judas walked up to Jesus. "Rabbi," he exclaimed, and gave him the kiss. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. And then we get to the 3rd image. It's Friday, early in the morning. Jesus is taken to the Sanhedrin. Jesus was led before this high council, and they said, "Tell us, are you the Messiah?" But he replied, "If I tell you, you won't believe me. And if I ask you a question, you won't answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated in the place of power at God's right hand." They all shouted, "So you're claiming to be the Son of God?" And he replied, "You say that I am." "Why do we need other witnesses?" they said. "We ourselves heard him say it." In the 4th image. A little bit later, Jesus is now before Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus replied, "You have said it." Then the leading priests kept accusing him of many crimes, and Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer them? What about all these charges they are bringing against you?" But Jesus said nothing, much to Pilate's surprise. So to pacify the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. So Jesus was sentenced to death. In the 5th image, Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip and crowned with thorns. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they mocked, as they slapped him across the face. In the sixth image, Jesus bears the cross. When they saw him, the leading priests and temple guards began shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" "Take him yourselves and crucify him," Pilate said. "I find him not guilty." This is a long day, and Jesus is now being moved from place to place. And in the second image, we see where Jesus is tortured and mocked by the soldiers. Some of the governor's soldiers took Jesus into their headquarters and called out the entire regiment. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. They wove thorn branches into a crown and put him on his head, and they placed a reed stick in his right hand as a scepter. Then they knelt before him and in mockery and taunted, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spit on him and grabbed a stick and struck him on the head with it. When they were finally tired of mocking him, they took off the robe, put his own clothes on him again. Then they led him away to be crucified. In the eighth image, we find Jesus carrying the cross. So they took Jesus away, carrying the cross by himself. He went to the place called the place of the skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. And then help in the ninth image. Jesus receives help carrying the cross. A passerby named Simon, who was from Cyrene, was coming in from the countryside just then, and the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. Then in the 10th image, Jesus is crucified. After they had nailed him to the cross, the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. Then they sat around and kept guard as he hung there. A sign was fastened above Jesus' head, announcing the charge against him. It read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." And if you expand your viewpoint just a little bit, you will see that Jesus was crucified along with two criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." And the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. In the 11th image, Jesus dies on the cross. At noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. At about 3 o'clock, Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you abandoned me?" And suddenly, the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn down the middle. Then Jesus shouted, "Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands." And with those words, he breathed his last. And then, looking at the 12th image, we see Jesus placed in the tomb. As evening approached, Joseph, a rich man from Arimathea, who had become a follower of Jesus, went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. And Pilate issued an order to release it to him. Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a long sheet of clean linen cloth. He placed it in his own new tomb, which had been carved out of the rock. Then he rolled a great stone across the entrance and left. And then, having walked around the cathedral, having looked at all those images reminding us of Jesus' last 3 days, we leave. We return to our world, having been reminded where our hope lies. Remember, Jesus is alive. So be blessed. Remember Jesus. Stay safe until we meet again.